Hello and good evening, and welcome to another review from Mad About Hoovers. And we're going to look at tonight this. It's another. It's a sort of a re-review. It's another one of these ones that I did a long time ago that we're going to take another look at now. I got it down from out of the collection, and it's not one that I use as a daily driver. It doesn't come out very often, only very occasionally. But this is a big American style Bissell. It's the only Bissell vacuum cleaner that I've got, and there's probably a reason why it's the only Bissell vacuum cleaner that I've ever owned. And I will be going into that a little bit later on. But this was what we call a budget machine. It was in the Argos book, probably 2013 sort of time. It was before the EU ban, power ban came in 2014, and I was in Argos the one day and I'd seen these. They were on special offer, and I thought, well, it looks quite a nice looking machine for, I think it cost me about 70 quid, something like that. So that would probably equate to, I don't know, $110 in American money. I think the Americans buy these in Walmart and the big American box stores for about $70 or $80. These cheap old Bissells. This is very. This is called the Cleanview Plus, and it's the pet version because it's got the turbo brush on here. It's the cyclonic action bagless. It's a pity that we couldn't get bagged machines, because if they'd done a bagged version of this, I would have been really pleased and I would have bought that. Like in America, they have a bagged version of this machine, but we couldn't get it here because they only sold the bagless. Now this sold quite well in Argos, and it had mixed reviews on there. Some people thought it was great, some people didn't. When I did my original review, I had a few things to point out on it. We'll go through that again now. But what I want to do first, before I get the camera down, is to just demonstrate the hose use on this, because it's got rather a good hose on this machine, and it's got a really nice wand on the back here. If I pull that off, I mean, it's a bit difficult to film the hose when I've got the camera in my hand, so I'm going to leave it on there while I do this. Because really, you can get it really high with this machine, the way it's configured. What it's got on it is like a long extension pole, which is actually the cuff for the hose. This isn't actually, you can't remove this from the hose, so you have to use it like this with the handle on. And it comes with the extension tool here, which will plug onto the end of here, like so, to give you a really good extension on here. And then you could actually put the long crevice tool on the top as well. So if you wanted to do all around your ceilings up top, all we could do then is to put the little tool, which is here. This is like, I'll do a close-up of this in a short while. I'll do a close-up of the machine, but just for now I'm going to stick this on the top, because this will actually go on the top of the crevice tool. And I was quite amazed at how much length we got on there. So you could actually go right up to the ceiling, right up along the ceiling there, and it doesn't even hardly put any stretch on the hose. As regards to the length of it, it just seems to stretch quite a reasonable distance when you've got that on. Yeah, so that's the actual hose and the tool part of the cleaner. I thought we'll just show that before I get the camera off. Okay, so we'll just dismantle all that again and put that back in its little housing, like that. So, as I say, I mean, this was a very big seller in America as well. It is Bissell, it is an American cleaner. I've seen quite a few reviews and demos done of this on American users' channels, and most of them, well, a lot of them say the same thing as me about the filtration on this, and I'm going to go into that in a short while. because essentially my view of this machine was that it was a fairly good machine at picking up. It had really aggressive agitation. It really could pick a lot of dirt up out the carpet. Because they're obviously wide cleaning path and designed for big American homes with longer pile carpets, we get this really, really big, aggressive, stiff brush roll. It's noisy on the carpet, you can hear it, really growls. I will do an agitation test with the agitation test particles down on the floor here, and we'll see how it does with that. But I was very impressed with the pickup on this. It's also a very, very sturdy machine as well. I mean, you can't twist that handle. It just seems to be really solid and well built for the money. I was quite impressed with that as well, the build quality. It's shiny, it looks nice, it looks well built, well constructed, and I thought, well, it's got to have faults somewhere, and it has. So we'll go into that. I'm just trying to think of the other name that they call this in America. I think it's called the Powerforce. The Powerforce Helix, which is a very, very similar machine to this, but it's got a slightly different bin, or dust cup as they call it in America. I'll put the hose back on now, and we'll get the camera down and we'll start having a look at it. But that was the hose essentially that I just demonstrated there. Right, so for £70, this is a lot of vacuum cleaner for your money. It really is. It is a really feature-packed machine. It's even got a headlight on it as well, down the bottom here, which I suppose that's quite normal for an American machine, because the Americans are fixated with headlights on upright vacuum cleaners. They even like headlights on cylinder cleaners with power heads on. I don't know if the Americans just have darker homes than we do, but I don't know why they seem to like headlights so much. Perhaps we could have a comment from American viewers as to why your machines always seem to like to have headlights on, whereas the traditional British style machines, well, I suppose we did in the 70s with the Hoover ones, and you get headlight on the Kirby over there, another American style cleaner, but Dyson's have never had headlights on. I don't think we'll ever see the day when Dyson has a headlight on. Very unusual. But anyway, here we've got the top of the handle here. It's very, very, very sturdy. It will not twist. It doesn't feel like it's made with ABS either. This is, I don't know what sort of plastic this is, but it's like a matte effect to it. It's not really shiny at the top, whereas it is down the bottom on the hood. So on the front here we had the what made it the pet, basically, is the pet turbo brush, and it's a see-through one, so you can see the impeller inside there. So I suppose you'd be able to see when it got clogged up or blocked. I believe that it was easy to maintain this by simply, I think you undid that to the top, like so, and then you could lift the top off, and then you could get access to the brush roll here and get any pet hairs out, and then we could basically put it back on, slide it back in, and then slide this collar back round. I think so, that's it, all the way down to the other side. And that was the pet turbo brush, and I will try and demonstrate that later on the hose when we push it about. And that fits on its little holder there, quite neat, it won't fall off in use, which is what we like to see. Okay, right, now coming down the back here, this is the hose, which I've already showed. I already just demonstrated that. Nice long hose there. Not a stair hose, but it's a pretty good length. Then we have this, the Bissell 2-in-1 tool, which I've always found to be, well, it's an odd little thing, isn't it? But basically you can select either of these tools by just twisting them round. What we have is like the opening inside there. You can't really see very well here, there's not that much light. I have got the lights on in here, but perhaps if I take it and hold it underneath this spotlight. Ah yeah, there we go, you see. That is the entrance at the moment that goes down to the bottom. But then if we wanted to use the other side, we would just twist it round like so, and now the entrance is in the upholstery side, and then this side isn't being used. So you just twist the tool round to select which one you want. So that was the tool that came with it. The crevice tool, as I say, was inside the scabbard here, and this fitted in on the back. It's terrible lighting in here. You know, I've got every single light in the room on, all these wall lights and lights up there. I think it's because the machine's black. Right, so we've got the on and off pedal there, which is a foot switch, and the cable comes in the machine at the bottom. I don't know why they have to do that, but they just seem to like putting this in at the bottom. But we do have a cord hook at the top there, so that's good. So we can always keep it out of the way when you're using it. The cord itself is here on the side, so I can unravel that now. I'm not sure what length it is on this. I can just check. It looks quite a long one from the amount of time it's taken me to uncoil it. So I can just take the cord over to the other side of the room with me. That gives me a pretty good idea. Right, well, it's normally 6 metres from here to that where that Dyson is over there. So obviously we've got 6 metres, and then there's all that as well. It looks like a 10-metre cable. So it's got a very long cord for a budget machine. So that's pretty good. But don't forget though, we lose some of that when we put it up the machine to the cord hook here. I think that's how it goes. Just through there, like so. And being an American style machine, the cord seems to be stored on the side. Right, so there's the other tool here on the side, the scabbard tool, which we've talked about already. On the front is what the Americans call the dust cup. I'll go into the dust cup in a short while. Underneath that is the post motor filter, and then underneath that is the headlight, which is quite good. Some of the Bissells didn't have that, and it was blanked off, but this one, being rather a high model in the range, came with the headlight on. Then on the hood we have the carpet selector. It's not a difficult machine to push along, depending on what setting you've got it on. Obviously the lower down you go, the more aggressive the brush roll is going to be. It says it's a wide cleaning path, which it is. It's one of the widest cleaners I've got. I mean, I don't know whether it's as wide as the Kirby. I can just go and compare it to the Kirby. So, I mean, as you can see there, it is pretty much as wide as the Kirby's head, and that is a big cleaner. If I compare it to the Dyson light ball, come out of the light there, we can see there just how much bigger that is than the Dyson, just to get an indication of how big that machine is. So this machine really would be a machine for large homes. So when it said wide cleaning path, it wasn't lying. Right, underneath, when we turn it over, we're going to have a look at the brush roll. I put the belt on just before the video here because it was stored with the belt off. But first, here is the stock label, if the camera will focus on it. It's 76P4-E, made in China, and there's Bissell, Grand Rapids, Michigan. Household type, where's the wattage of it? Ah yes, there it is there. So it's 1500 to 1900 watts. That's rather a big gap in wattage, isn't it? I'd say the average was probably about 1600 watts. That's what this would draw, maybe 1700. I can't see or tell what the date is from this. I don't know how to date Bissell machines. Obviously you probably could date it from that. It looks like maybe 2013, could be wrong. Could be wrong. Right, okay. Underneath here we have the brush roll, when the camera decides it's going to focus on it. Thank you. And what we can see here, it's got very stiff bristles. and they are set on those sort of raised beta sort of sections of plastic on here, and it's a larger equivalent of that Vax Mac 9 I showed the other night. I think it was the Vax Mac 9, which had a very similar brush roll to this, but it wasn't as wide as this one. This really does get pretty close to the edge on there. It's that close on that side, and on that side it's pretty close as well. So you've got a good sweeping path here on the other side of where the belt is, but you will have what Roger calls the line of shame, Roger being the Ibasiac. Okay, so if you wanted to replace the belt on this, you'd have to take out one screw there and one screw there, so that's 2 screws, and then you'd have to unclip that clip, and that clip, pull it towards you basically like that, and then the sole plate lifts off and you can change your belt from there. So that's very easy. And here is your little undercarriage wheels. Right, so that's the base. Right, the dust cup itself is here. In order to empty this, you would have to pull that lever over to the left and then remove the dust cup, like so. And then you'd carry the dust cup, and it really is like a cup. You hold it by the side and it's open at the top. So you wouldn't really want to be taking this out to the bin outside when it's a windy day, because everything in here is just going to blow straight out the top. That is not a good idea. I don't like that. I don't like this whole dust cup design set up on this machine. In the bottom of the dust cup, by basically what we would do is to turn it to one side anti-clockwise and lift that off. Okay, so the top of the dust cup comes off, and then in the bottom this is the pre-motor filter. Okay, to clean this, basically, I'll put this back down on the floor again, you would turn it round anti-clockwise and lift it off the bottom, and there we have the filter, and we take off the sponge part like so, and there's the 2 parts to the filter, and you'd wash that in the sink and clean out all the veins in there, and that would get caked with dirt inside, because this filter does get dirty very, very quickly. Just about all the dust that this draws in ends up on this filter, and on there it gets really, really dirty in that dust cup. It's a very messy affair to clean this filter. So that is one downfall with this machine. It is such a messy thing to clean. So then we can put the foam back on the filter there. I mean, obviously I've cleaned this before it went away upstairs, so but that is effectively how the filter goes. Now, you notice here that on the bottom of the filter, where it seals to the dust cup, there is no rubber or felt seal. So what I was finding was that the bits of cat hairs and dust were getting past this, because there's no seal on the bottom of here where it seals onto the bottom of that dust cup. So I had to make a little cardboard gasket to go in the bottom of there to effectively seal that onto the dust cup to stop the dust getting through, because the dust was going through here and then getting caught in the exhaust filter. So obviously it was going through the motor and then contaminating this very quickly. And the problem with that is that you can't wash it. You have to buy a new one from Bissell at a really hefty price as well. And I thought, well, I'm not going to be paying for one of them every few months. So that's what I did that for, to stop the dust from getting through. I said this in the first video I did, that I thought that was a deliberate design that would ensure that the dirt got through to there and made you, so you would have to carry on buying filters from Bissell. And I believe that there was a company in America called Phantom, and Phantom designed their machines like that so that it would dirty the post-motor filter on the side of the machine, and they charged, was it $70 or something ridiculous for the post-motor filter. And they designed the machines such that the dirt would come through the first part here and dirty the motor and filter on the post-motor quite quickly. So it ensured a constant supply of people paying $70 for these exhaust filters. And it's pretty much the same principle here. I mean, there wasn't a lot of dirt getting past that seal, but enough to start gradually getting this thing contaminated. And when we remove it, we can just pull it out like so, and that's all it is. It's just a paper pleated filter, and that's about £10 to buy a replacement for that. It just basically pulls out of there like that, and that's all it is, and they charge about £10 for them. And they make sure that this gets dirty as you're pushing it along, not just with carbon dust from the motor, but with actual dust and cat hair and stuff that escapes past that pre-motor filter. And that is the main reason why I never used this as a daily driver, because I didn't like the filtration and the separation on it. It picks up really well, but this is a lousy system. There's your shroud there, so the dirt would spin round in that side here. It would be drawn in through the shroud, go down that centre pipe, and then hit this filter. So it was very, very crude, the system was. But then again, it had been going for quite some time, I think, this machine. I'm just going to put this dust cup back together now. So we just click that back in, and then I can slide the dust cup back into there. Now obviously that comes out as well. You would remove that like a light bulb in a United Kingdom, light bulb, bayonet style. Pull that down, and then you could clean that shroud out. There was nothing in it, but it was like anything that got drawn through there would hit that pre-motor filter. So this would only filter out the really large stuff. Right, so that goes back in. The dust cup goes back in like that, and then the clamp goes across. And then we can put this exhaust filter back in the machine as well, and I think it goes in that way. Yes, it does. So there's the overview of the machine. That's one of the reasons why I didn't particularly like it very much, because of the filtration. But since I put that cardboard gasket in there, not a lot gets past that now. It gets dirty very quickly still, but doesn't really contaminate that. So let's put some test particles down and give it a quick go. I'll just put the camera here. Right, I've put some stuff down. There it is on the carpet, and we will do the usual agitation test with it and see how aggressive that is. I'll just plug it in and we'll go. There we go. Right, we're going to have our usual push round for a few minutes here. Yeah, that was trying to pull the machine over. That's why the camera seems to be going everywhere there. As I was pulling on that, the recoil on the hose felt like it was trying to tip the machine over, because it's not that stable. If you see what I mean, you just got to pull it too hard and the whole thing will topple over backwards. So that's not very good. I think the SIBO has the same problem with that. So what we could hear when I did that test on there with that particles, it actually virtually stopped the belt. It stopped the brush roll in the end. And what happened there, I think the very fine dust from the oats got onto the spindle and caused it to slip. So anyway, let's have a look at the dust cup again after just doing that. So there's the dust in there, and that'll be going in my bag of filth afterwards, because I save all this up. We'll have a look at the filter as well, so I should just undo that. And there we can see the fine dust already has started to get onto the filter just from that little bit. So I can just take that off. Yeah, there we can see, look, how the dust has tried to get underneath the filter. And this is the sort of thing that was passing past that there, where there's no seal, and that was going to go through without that cardboard seal on. And it's this sort of dust that was getting through that was contaminating the exhaust filter. So by putting that little gasket on, you can actually save yourself having to keep buying them all the time. All that is just cut out from a cardboard cereal packet. But basically, just from that little bit, you can see how much dust has been drawn onto that filter already, and there's some cat hairs on there as well, look. So the separation on this is absolutely hopeless. It contaminates this really quick, so you're forever going to be washing this filter, otherwise it'll lose its suction. So let's just put that back together then. Like so. And then I'll put the dust cup back together. And then just until I do that, and then you can see there, well, you maybe can't, but there's a lot of dust that seems to have escaped as well and gone into there. So we'll put that back together and do that up. So the Bissell there, I mean, it's a great cleaner, but the filtration's not particularly good. If you do that little fix, you'll be alright with it. So until next time, I'll see you again soon.